Hi everybody, my name is Angela. Today my speech is going to cover the difference between turtles and tortoises, and just for the sake of clarity I'm just going to focus on African desert tortoises and just your average sea turtle. So I just want to tell you a little bit about them. A lot of people use the words interchangeably, which is totally understandable. I do it myself, but it's pretty neat. There's some key differences to them. So just want to point out a few of those to you, tell you about their environment, what they live in, what they need, if you're to have them as a pet. And then I want to share a story with you about how I was able to nurse one of my turtles back to health by knowing these things about him and incorporating some of my nursing into it too. But I hope you like it. Here we go. First, I just want to talk about their shell. I want to start out with a turtle. I'm going to show you this little guy. Hopefully you can see him. He's kind of small, I'm sorry. But I want you to take a look at his shell and notice how slender it is and how thin. His shell is shaped this way, and it's great. It's very water dynamic. It helps them glide through the water very easily. Their arms, you can't see it too well in here, so I'm going to show you. It's a stuffed animal, but it'll work. I want you to look at his arms. They're very, very long and slender as well. They're used as paddles pretty much, and so he's just a very strong swimmer, able to glide through the water. Both his forearms and his hind legs as well. So between how his legs are shaped, how his arms are shaped, I mean, these guys are just phenomenal swimmers. A tortoise on the other hand, I want to have you take a look at this guy. I want you to notice how his shell is very domed. It's very, well, it's not water dynamic at all. In fact, if you put this guy in water, they will sink, and bad things happen. But very much made for land. This is, I mean, a turtle shell is his house, so he just kind of goes inside and sleeps. It's pretty neat. But take a look at their arms. You can't see it too well on this guy, but their arms are very much more vertical instead of horizontal, and so they're made for putting pressure on and for walking. Tortoises walk a lot. I mean, a lot of people think that they don't. They're very slow-moving animals. They just sit there and sunbathe, which they do. They do a lot of that, but these guys walk a lot. So that's just kind of neat. Another thing that these guys have in common is they're both cold-blooded animals, meaning that their body does not make its own heat. They need heat from an exterior source. So the way that they acquire that heat is, especially tortoises, they'll go out and sunbathe and just use the warmth from the heat. They're kind of, or from the sun, excuse me. They're kind of like solar panels in that way. So just kind of a neat fact about them. They're both, like I said, cold-blooded animals, so their metabolic rate is much slower, just the rate that their body functions at, and especially their heartbeats can get very slow. It's pretty neat. For turtles, actually, their heart rates they can lapse between 10 minutes. That's the slowest, but that's for when they submerge underwater. They can stay submerged for about 5 hours, which is amazing, and their heartbeat will just beat once every 10 minutes. So that's pretty neat, pretty handy. As far as their diet goes, very similar in their diet. They are mainly herbivores. A turtle or tortoise can be an herbivore, a carnivore, and an omnivore, but these two that I'm talking about today are herbivores. So that means that they eat a lot of leafy greens, hays, grass. So the turtles will eat seagrass and algae, all that, and then a tortoise will eat, grass from a yard. He'll eat hay, he'll eat green leafy vegetables. And then, so their diet's supposed to be about 90% green grass and hay, and then the other 10% should be types of sugar, so fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. As far as their environment goes, well, like I said, turtles are water animals, so they live in the ocean. From day one, they'll hatch out of their eggs and move on down to the ocean, and they live there, they sleep there, everything. A tortoise, turtles, they prefer warmer water, so you'll see them, they'll move along with the weather, the time of the season, and follow the warm water. Tortoises, on the other hand, they need warm environments, so you see them often in the desert and dry, hot areas. Pretty neat about them. As far as if you were to have one as a pet, the way that you would want to house a turtle would be to get a little aquarium and have about half of it water, half of it sand, so that the turtle can still get wet and swim, but also come on the sand and take a break and relax. As far as a tortoise goes, you should have them in a tank or an aquarium rather, when they're real little, and then about 2 years old, that's a good age to start introducing them to living outside and living in an outside environment continuously. So that's pretty good. let me see. I wanted to tell you about my turtle, my tortoise. She got sick, and I was just able to use the information that I just gave you and a lot of my nursing and knowledge to be able to nurse her back to health. But long story short, what happened was she had eaten some weeds that were poisoned by some weed spray. And anyway, through a long process, I started her out on just hydrating her by force feeding her with a syringe of water, and that helped to hydrate her, but it wasn't giving her energy. So I ended up squeezing some fruits and giving her the sugar from fruit juice, and that jump-started her system. I slowly started introducing solid foods into her. I did avocado. It's very high in fat, very good for them. Dandelions is probably one of the healthiest things for a turtle and a tortoise. They love those. So all that stuff. I had her start doing physical therapy because she wasn't walking, but I knew that if I just left her stationary, she wasn't going to get any stronger, so I made her do physical therapy. I made her walk. That worked very well, and it was about over a month of doing all this, very slowly, introducing it one at a time, but over a month I got her to gain her strength back and to be able to start feeding herself and taking care of herself. And so she's about that close to not making it, but I was able to, through my knowledge of nursing and just how they are, how they work, what they need, I was able to nurse her back to health. So anyway, I want to share a couple fun facts with you before I let you go. One thing is that starting with sea turtles, like I told you about their hearts, their heartbeats can span between 10 minutes. It's amazing because they're slow metabolic rate. They're amazing swimmers, like I was telling you. They can swim up to 1,300 miles a day, which is mind-blowing. When a female turtle lays eggs, she can lay up to 200 at a time. Now, sadly, only about 5 of those little guys will make it from the sand to the water and live on, so that's why they lay so many. And as far as tortoises go, these guys, I have an African desert tortoise. They can live up to well over 100 years if they're healthy and well taken care of. African desert tortoises are the 3rd largest land tortoise. They can, at about 25 years old, they're considered an adult, and they just get huge. They can get about 3 feet by 3 feet. They 150 pounds easy. They're just really fascinating animals. You can learn a whole bunch more. I suggest going online, looking it up if you're ever interested in owning one for a pet, and they're really great animals. So anyway, petturtle.com is a great site. Also, I have this book, Popular Tortoises, General Care and Maintenance of Them. Great book, a lot of good information how to care for them. And anyway, I hope you learned some. Thank you for listening.